Ideal Protein Nation, welcome back to the Life Possible podcast. Hey, for those of you who might be new to the show, the Life Possible podcast was created to spotlight successful clients, coaches, and clinic owners who have used the Ideal Protein protocol to reset their body, reset their mind, and reset what's absolutely possible for their life. I created this show back in the pandemic. We are filming episode 79 today, and I have a big vision for the future for this show. So who am I and why did I decide to do this in the first place? Well, I tell you what, my name's Dr. John Barnes, and there's no easy way to put this, but back in 2015, I found myself in a situation that is only described as I was fat, sick, and depressed. And the challenging part of that was I didn't see a way out. I didn't understand what I had done to my body, my metabolism, and everything that I tried didn't work. And so I gave up. But you know what? I truly believe that God brought me the Ideal Protein protocol as the answer to so many of my prayers, both personally and professionally. And today I'm able to live a life that is healthy, vibrant, and alive. These pictures were taken a few years ago, back in 2021, where I was able to accomplish my first half Ironman distance triathlon at the age of 54. So, who do we have for you today? Well, I tell you what, I'm bringing back a favorite. I'm not going to say oldie but goodie. I can't say that. Oh, I'm going to say a favorite guest of mine, Wendy White-Stevens. Wendy White-Stevens is an amazing human being, and she channels so much of her energy and efforts into coaching, owning and running a clinic, as well as she's the brains behind the Real Women of Ideal Protein out there on social media. There's just an endless amount of things that Wendy does for all of Ideal Protein Nation. So let's bring her in. Hey, Wendy, where are you? Hey,
hi.
It's so great to have you back on the show.
It's great to be here. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. A little belated, right?
Right. I got to slide that in the first part of February.
I know. No, again, I've had so much fun with you over the Life Possible podcast episodes, doing encore episodes with you. And, we kind of created this little tradition of doing a New Year's show, or at least a start to the year show, we might call. I'm not sure what we're going to call it these days, but better late than never.
Absolutely. Yes. I was so thrilled that we were able to reconnect after the holidays into the new year. So thank you for having me back. And I am fine being called an oldie, but a goodie. I've earned it.
I know. Yeah, no. So, my holidays this year, we had all kinds of things going on, the family, both good and bad. So really pretty busy, but relatively off my game. And I tell you, how has 2025 started?
Bang. I mean, it's really been exciting.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. Hey, I also, while we're talking about it, I wanted to kind of review just a couple of the episodes that you and I have been a part of, because we've had some really pretty impactful episodes. I tell you, I was looking through the files, the archives, I'll call them. Yep. I was looking through the archives and I came across Sharon's episode. What an amazing episode that you were able to share with us, working with Sharon and her story.
Yep.
Tell us, give us a little bit of a highlight of Sharon's story in that episode that means so much to you.
Yeah. Was that episode 55?
It was episode 55, ladies and gentlemen. Please go back and find this episode.
Okay. Sharon's amazing transformation started out with her reaching out to our clinic. She'd had a family member on Ideal Protein. Sharon was disabled early on in her adulthood. She was actually a victim of a robbery and was shot and lost her lower extremity mobility. And the health issues she was experiencing were compounding over time. And so she felt like, you know what, I've listened about the science, I've seen success with a family member, one of the ways that we are brought up in conversation. And Sharon was able to lose over 60 pounds
Yeah.
with the Ideal Protein protocol.
Yep.
She was taken off of a lot of different medications. Her overall comfortability in her wheelchair was changed significantly. The help she would receive from her caregivers in turn changed. She really just had a great new lease on life, especially where her metabolic health, and actually, I wouldn't say especially her metabolic health, I think equally as important, her mental health and her
Yes.
spirit and her optimism for the future and her lifestyle moving forward was enriched because of the protocol. And Sharon received really great education with us here at the Institute for Metabolic Transformation. And she knew over time the body is designed to gain weight. And she has since tuned up, done a little 28-day tune-up with us, got back to where she really wanted to be, and is off living her best maintenance life.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so awesome. That's the thing, right? Like when you suggested Sharon as a potential guest, I jumped at that chance because, man, I had not even considered, because I hadn't had the experience, what would be the challenges of somebody who is wheelchair bound to losing weight.
Yeah.
Again, everybody, and it's a misconception, and it's one of those constant misconceptions that we have to battle, that exercise has to be a part of a weight loss program.
Right.
Because again, well, how much could someone like her do? And it's been our experience with the Ideal Protein protocol that, the nutrition component of it is just the most important thing. And we create those magic results irregardless of the amount of exercise that someone does.
Right. And that's true. Did we make any modification to phase one? No, we did not. Maybe some of the replacement supplementation that's mandatory, we didn't utilize until she was able to.
Right.
Her caregivers were versed in the phase one part of the protocol and prepping and all of that. And so she had an uncompromised experience, and, the results speak for themselves. I mean, even just these two pictures, like a picture speaks 1,000 words or more, right?
100%. Yeah. And again, I loved her journey back to metabolic health. There's nothing more I enjoy than being able to relate stories of people, blood pressure coming back down in the normal range, being able to get off their medications, blood sugars balancing and normalizing, cholesterol levels, all those things that is in our experience as coaches and clinic owners. I love that. So please, listeners and viewers out there, if you're struggling with any of these issues, if you know friends and family, if you have friends and family who are in a wheelchair and weight is one of their struggles, please watch this episode, send this episode to them. She's a wonderful person. It's just an incredible story.
It is an incredible story. And before we move away from her picture, just looking at her ankles, right?
My gosh. Yeah, right. We talked about that in the show.
Right. When you don't think, hey, that would be uncomfortable, even though she's not actively using her legs and feet, it's still very discomforting, and a whole host of health issues are indicated here. And you can see in her after picture, they're normal. They're normalized. Right. I love it.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's a wonderful example of just how powerful the science behind our protocol is.
Yeah, absolutely. We also did a show, episode 28, where you were involved in a really neat initiative that you created in a school system in Texas, right?
Yes. It was a thrilling opportunity. There are like so many tentacles to the experience, from a healthy workforce population. When you think about all the people that a district employs, right? We obviously think about teachers, administrators, but what about the facilities managers? What about people that are taking care of campuses and just in charge of things behind the scenes? A healthy workforce population is great. And what's the value of presenteeism? Your teacher in the classroom teaching your child, when they are able to be at their optimized health and peak performance, there's no way your kids aren't getting the best possible in that classroom, right? I love that. It's the presenteeism, which Nikki Johnson taught me about.
I was going to say, where did you come up with that word? Like, that's another $1 million Wendy word.
Yeah, it's not even like the absenteeism. It's like when they show up, have they dragged themselves to school? Because they are not optimized metabolically. And so then it naturally devalues what's happening in the classroom. As well as just, one thing I love about the protocol, and I learned not only with my own home, but I see it in my clients' homes. When children are present, they are so much more aware than we give them credit for. And when a teacher is making healthy choices and demonstrating healthy behaviors, the children see that, right?
Right.
Their coworkers see that. We engage the PTA. The PTA, I think their love language is food, right?
Yes. Oh, 100%.
The PTA's love language is food, and we want to take care of the teachers and administrators. How can we do that in a way that kind of gives a tilted optic towards wellness and supports that? So there was a lot of really great opportunity for generational health with the school district.
Yep.
And just getting that healthy workforce population. We love working with Eagle, Mountain, and Saginaw ISD.
Yeah, such a great concept. And, clinic owners and coaches that are looking for ideas to how to expand into their community, watch this episode and really kind of consider the possibilities for your school district. Right. It really presents some neat ideas. Teachers who are struggling, my daughter's a teacher. And, it's interesting to see and hear from the inside out, just like you said, whether it's the students and the parents and the PTA and everybody, what's just the easiest and best way to show your gratitude by baked goods and chocolates and all the fun stuff. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I even enjoyed, in the beginning of the school year, teachers have an opportunity to fill out their about me sheet, right?
Yep.
What's your favorite drink? What's your favorite snack? How do you spend your free time? Things like that. And it was really nice to see. A couple of opportunities I had was to see their year before, get to know you, and then their current year, get to know you and how they have changed. But yeah, I mean, you think about everything that teachers go through to pour into the cup of our future. They deserve to be their healthiest and their best because they are challenged every day.
They need to be optimized both mentally and physically to deal with a lot of the things that they do in the classroom every single day.
Yeah, so that was a wonderful experience. We love our teachers and administrators.
Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. But so that was episode 55 and episode 28. Also, you and I collaborated on a spin-off show called Encore that you've done for the Real Women of Ideal Protein. We've got some fun episodes there where we revisit with some of the original guests. I would just, I have to apologize to Ideal Protein Nation again. I kind of feel like absenteeism. I have not produced as many episodes as I've really wanted to lately, and I apologize for that. And believe you me, in 2025, we are more than going to make up for that. Stay tuned for some very big and exciting announcements as far as the Life Possible podcast goes.
I'm excited. I love it. Just today I was talking with a lead that was a doctor-generated referral, which we love here.
Yep, absolutely.
And I referred to a podcast episode. I sent them a link. Earlier this week, I sent another link to your episode with Lat Mansour of Ketone IQ out to somebody, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's such great content, but even if you feel like an episode isn't going right, I know. I don't have my bottle here.
Got ketones?
Yeah. Even if you feel like the topic of one of your episodes isn't going to apply, there's always golden nuggets, right? Yep. Wellness transcends a lot of other barriers, right? And so no matter what episode you pick, you're going to be better off for watching it.
Yeah, there's some really good stuff. So yeah, Wendy, how's your new year going? Is it going good? I truly don't know. Like, we haven't had this conversation.
Yeah, when we had talked close to the end of last year, I was kind of like, okay, Um, what if I said, I'm in my blank era, what would you say? I think people are having a lot of fun with kind of picking an era.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, when I was thinking about it, I thought, well, if I ask him that, I've got to be prepared to answer that question. And so I sat there and I thought about it and I thought, well, maybe I'm in my going smaller era, right? And then I thought, does that mean do less? What does that mean? Like, how would someone interpret my going smaller era? And it's really in the spirit of, I think that where I'm at in my wellness journey is that the secret does lie in those small nods towards your wellness, right? Just going smaller. It doesn't have to be this big and obvious activity or ambition or overarching goal. It's like, where is my mojo in those smaller nods to myself for sustainability?
I
And
love
so I've
that.
been focusing on that. Yeah.
I think that there's we're going to revisit that concept of small changes that make big impacts in your wellness. Okay.
Yeah. So I've been kind of giving myself space to not be kind of so ostentatious with my wellness to myself. And like, okay, girl, take a step back, breathe. What do you feel would serve you best, no matter how small it is, right? So that's really how my year has kicked off. I've been going smaller, and it provides a sense of peace and success and optimism. So I think it is really, I'm embarking on a good era.
All right, let's go. So when are you going to do your Eras tour?
Oh my gosh. That'll be later this year.
Wendy White-Stevens, the Eras tour. I love it. I love it. Right. No, I kind of feel like, in my case, this is how mine's going. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start next week. Right. Well, maybe not next week. See,
right.
I think I'm in the era of bionics.
Right.
Now only older people are going to get that, but I'm in the era of cosmetics. No, I'm in the era of replacement surgery.
Yeah.
So next week I am getting my second artificial hip, and I got to tell you, I am very excited about it.
Yeah, 2 of 2, so you're done.
2 of 2, so I'm done. Unfortunately, a couple of years ago, when I was starting to have some issues, we realized that my hips actually weren't formed properly when I was developing. And that has contributed to my awkward gait that everybody makes fun of over my years. But it took until I was 56 till we took an x-ray and looked in there and said, oh, dear Lord, what is happening here? Mm-hmm. So I got one hip replaced about a year and a half ago. I'm getting my matching set on Monday. And so again, to me, I think I'm hoping that to open up a whole year of reconnecting with activity.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Everybody I know that's had hip replacement surgery, including you after your first one, is like, this is incredible. This is amazing. And you do, mobility. I love mobility, right? And what I've learned from clients that
we love mobility.
I love mobility. My jaw,
right.
What I love about that is, you are the longevity piece. I want to be an active participant in my life, and anything that includes that needs to be addressed. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that. But until then, hang on. I want to do this one. Yeah, this is pretty much me. I'm waiting for the new me to show up. Maybe I'm getting a little surgical help on that. Maybe I'm cheating a little bit. However,
I don't think it's cheating.
I think a lot of that has been contributing to my procrastination.
Yeah.
As far as that. But what I will say, and this is something I found very interesting as I'm going through the preoperative process, is that metabolic health is super, super important to individuals who have to go through replacement surgeries.
Yes.
And, the doctor has been super vigilant as far as I have to go through a battery of blood tests. I have to make sure all these things are in the right place, and blood sugar being like the most important thing that they were very excited to see was in the normal range.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Right.
I got all these things, and every time you read it, it says if your blood sugar is not stable, if it's not in the normal range, and so it was funny because we had forgotten to get an A1C when we did my initial blood work.
Okay.
And they even as of Tuesday this week, she said, well, we can't do the surgery if you don't get your A1C.
Yep.
And luckily, my primary care is a friend of mine, and I texted him. He said, come on in tomorrow. We'll take care of that. No problem. And I went in there and I thought to myself, A1C, a snapshot of the past 3 months of your nutrition.
You're like, man, do we have to do it right now?
What were the past November, December, and January? And I thought to myself, well, this is probably going to be your highest A1C that we've seen in a while based on your behavior. And boy, I was sweating it when it came across, but luckily enough, we're right in the happy zone there. So super excited about that. So I get to do this as an outpatient surgery.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So it's literally once I wake up and I get feeling back in my legs, they stand me up and teach me how to use a walker again, go up and down a couple of fake stairs. And if all goes well, they kick me out the door and say, go home and heal.
Yeah. Walk tomorrow. We really should discuss this quickly. We love orthopedic surgeons in our area because it's really great pre-procedure optimization for their patients, right?
Right.
Let's talk about that. I have the perfect example. I've got a gentleman on protocol. He started out with me at about 375. Okay. He does have to have a procedure on his heart.
Okay.
Last year, when him and his cardiologist have been talking about this for a couple of years, and now it's like, we need to do this. And it was going to be crack the ribs, whole big situation. Yeah. He has, in the time we've been working together, he's at about, I want to say 298. And the last time he went in to see the cardiologist, the procedure has changed. It's obviously the outcome's going to be the same, but they're going to go through his leg.
Wow.
Okay? You know what I mean? So talk about a major bonus, right? Yeah. But just that reduction of inflammation and what our protocol can deliver pre-procedure is like how people want to do the best they can for themselves heading into something like that. Well, the protocol is that.
Well, and even strictly qualifying to have the surgery in the first place, right?
Right.
Again, for type 2 diabetics that aren't managing their blood sugars well, that tend to be unstable. As far as also too, there are BMI restrictions for certain replacement surgeries, et cetera. Right. We offer a really great approach to taking care of those things and getting somebody surgically ready.
Right.
And so again, if you're staring down the surgery that you can't have because of these limitations, if you happen to be an orthopedic surgeon or work for one, keep ideal protein in mind. Pair up with a clinic and see if you can't offer your patients that need surgery but don't qualify for it an opportunity to change their metabolic health and reduce their BMI and get in the zone where that surgery is possible.
Right. I mean, it's less liability for the physician. Okay.
Yep.
And for the patient, it's going to give them the best possible outcome. It's going to serve them well with the healing process.
100%. Yep.
And there's so many bonuses from that regard. So, I mean, I love it.
I want to give a plug. This is a Mike CL moment for me. Mike is one of our chief science guys with our scientific support center. Our ideal protein BCAAs. I just wanted to throw this out there. This is one of my secret weapons for recovery.
Yeah.
The ideal protein BCAAs, other than having the highest quality and concentration of branched chain amino acids, so important for muscles and healing, et cetera, they have 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C in there.
Yeah.
And, vitamin C being also so vital for connective tissue healing and those kinds of things, it's a secret weapon for anybody having any kind of procedure and is going to be healing from that. I highly recommend that for our clients that end up going through surgery. And I've used it, I use at least 2 a day when I'm recovering in recovery
Yeah.
process, so that I'm making sure I'm getting that.
Absolutely. It's a very nice internal support.
Enough about me. When we started talking about the New Year's episode, and every time we talk about it, 'tis the season for that reboot, that reset, right? An ideal protein reset is a best practice. It's not failure. It's a best practice.
Right.
And the way that we usually run our practices, we have people that are coming back every January. They're doing a 2 or 3 or 4 week reboot.
Right.
So, we were talking about that, and, some of them are struggling. Are you having any strugglers, Wendy?
I called somebody on the phone Monday after I looked at his journal, and I said, bro, I really appreciate your journaling. You've always been so good at that.
Opens up with the sweet talk, right? Oh,
like props, right? It does. First of all, we present tune-ups as preventative care.
Yep.
Right. It is the best form. What's the least you can do to stop from having to do something more interventional and unpredictable in the future? Right. It's 100%. A tune-up, right? Yep. It's like getting the plaque off your teeth every 6 months at the dentist.
Yep.
But I had to call him because I saw cheese. I saw low-carb tortillas. I saw 0 sugar added grape juice. And I said, you know what? What are you doing now that you didn't do in phase 1 initially?
He must have some kind of a, what do you call it? A black market phase 1 sheet that's got extra stuff on it or something.
He's got that ambition to crack the code is what he's got. He's like, how far can I push this and still get the outcomes I want? And it's like, well, not very far.
Well, you know what? And that is the conversation, right? That is the complaint. And I had two today that we were talking about. And like, Doc, what is the deal? Why am I not losing the way that I did the first time? Yeah. Right? And so, to me, that poses this question, Wendy. We get personal on the show a lot. And, I think I want to ask you, Wendy, do you remember your first time? In phase 1 is what we're talking about. I don't know what people.
In phase 1, my first time in phase 1, back in was it the last part of 2016?
Okay.
I remember it, and I often think, would I be drawn back to my own experience so much if I wasn't coaching, right? All the little things that I go, wow, I did this and I did that and I did this and the other, because you see a lot, right? We have the advantage of seeing all sorts of ideal protein engagements. I remember it distinctly. You want me to give you the short version?
Hit the highlights for me.
All right, we'll hit the highlights. When I started Ideal Protein in 2016, September 28th of 2016, I weighed 276.4 pounds, and I was beat down, okay? I had been doing another program the first part of 2016. My resolution was just to get healthier, right? Like,
way to leave that open-ended.
Right.
I'm just going to get healthier.
But nobody wants to say, oh, I'll lose weight, right? It's like, I want to, but I don't know how. And so I was doing something else, and I'd taken off like 25 pounds, and it seemed like overnight I put back on 30. Right. And so I was like, oh God, okay, this is not good. And I was beat down. I did want to be healthier. Like that active participant situation I mentioned earlier, I was seeing my family, my growing family, do things that I wanted to do. And I either physically couldn't because I was too big. I didn't have the energy, like all sorts of things were preventing me from living my best life. And I couldn't deny it. Right.
Yeah.
And so true to form, I set a deadline. I set 90-day deadline because if I've got a measurable deadline, I can do anything. Trust me, I will get to that deadline. And basically now the way I see that deadline that was my out, right? That was my open door to quit. Okay.
Wow.
I was like, I was going to totally do my analysis of everything that I love to do. Like, do I need to go on an apology tour? Because I've been hungry for 90 days and mean to people. Right.
So that was your first tour, the apology tour, right? And the Eras tour, it will be the culmination.
How much weight have I lost? Like, does this work for me? Because it's not going to, and I know it. And is it worth the investment, right? Yeah. Is it worth the investment I'm making? And so 90 days, it just so happened to be December 28th, right? So in that 90 days, I went to Vegas for the first time.
Yep.
I did a road trip to Oregon from Dallas to see our daughter in college. And I was like, okay, I was in the whole way. Had my birthday, my dad's birthday, my sister's birthday, the holidays, my mom's Halloween cookies that I've had every year for decades. All those things happened. And so I was in my office on December 28th, and I literally set a calendar reminder. Okay. And it popped up
for your 90 days.
For my 90-day review.
Set a reminder. This is the check-in period. If this is working, I'm still going. If it's not, it's my exit strategy.
I'll be like, I'm out. And so it popped up, and I laughed out loud, and I thought, thank God I gave myself 90 days.
Yeah.
And I dismissed it, and I just moved on into my day. There was no way on earth I was about to stop what was going so well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I remember distinctly, I did not deviate because I did want what I was seeing happen. I was literally, life possible was happening for me. I was being transformed in a way that I didn't understand it, but I really liked it, right? It was sustainable, right? I didn't really get it, but I was like, okay, I'm onto something really good here. Yeah. And what I have wanted for so long is actually happening. One thing I remember distinctly when I'm talking to clients and various conversations is like, it was at a chiropractic office here in North Texas. And I remember kind of pulling up out front for my meeting every week. And I would just tell myself, whatever happens with the numbers, you did your best. Like, you controlled what happened on this side of your lips, right? And that's all you can do, right? You control what you could. Everything on this side of your lips, you did good. Okay. I think it was kind of in an effort to incubate myself from disappointment or feeling a setback or whatever. Fast forward 10 months, when I was getting ready to face off, I wanted to do my math and see like how much did I lose on average each week as a female on the protocol. And it was 2.54 pounds.
Yep. There it is. The magic number.
Yeah. It was rock solid. It was rock solid, So I do remember my first time. What about yours?
Again, absolutely. And although, again, being a guy, I'm not that much for details. I will say that it was March of 2015. Yep. And, I had already played the waiting game and I had already decided on New Year's night is actually when I decided that I was going to do this Ideal Protein program, because not only had God been throwing me these, hey, look at this. Oh, Ideal Protein, like it started popping up. New Year's Eve, I went to my buddy's house. It was their turn to host all of our college friends. And when he opened the door, I looked at him and I said, oh my God, Bob, what have you done? How much weight have you lost? And he started laughing. He's like, oh, like 60 pounds. And I'm like, tell me you did Ideal Protein. And he said, how'd you know? And I was just like, right? I mean, one more slap over the head, right?
Right.
And it's like, oh my God. So New Year's Eve, made the resolution. I'm doing Ideal Protein, right?
Yeah. I want to do what Bob's doing.
Fast forward till March. And it was like, well, there's this, and then there's, and I was like, you know what? I'm holding my breath to tie my shoes. I'm done.
Oh, God,
stop pushing this off. we're starting. So I called my friends up who had it in their office and got started. I was one of those terrible clients that, forced her to get me started. I didn't know there was this workshop thing that I had to go through. And she made me go through the workshop and all that stuff. And man, I tell you, it was, so week 3 was spring break.
Of course.
And spring break, we're in Northern Virginia outside of Washington, D.C. And, spring break in mid-March, it's still pretty darn cold and yucky around here. And we would go down to Hilton Head in South Carolina with the high school baseball team. And they would have a tournament down there, and all the parents were hanging out in condos on the beach. And, all my drinking buddies were there. And it was just, we had our favorite restaurants. We had our favorite bars.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't even believe. And at the last minute, my wife had to back out. She had something come up at work. I forget what it was, but she absolutely could not come. And so I'm like, oh, and the chaperone's not even coming.
I know.
Right? Like, this is just a setup. But I had done 2 weeks of the Ideal Protein program. Not only was I losing weight like faster than I ever expected, but I felt so much better that I ever thought was possible at that stage of the game. I was miserable. I had so many symptoms, so many problems. And in 2 weeks, I was like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm 25 again.
Yeah, right. I mean, that is one thing that comes up consistently here, is that it doesn't take getting to your goal for whatever that is to start feeling good. Like, you start feeling good really quickly, like crazy good.
Really week 1 or 2, you're like, wait, what?
Start coming in. Yes. I mean, it is so cool. I love that. And week 3, so you were about to be like keto adaptive and really
so you know what? I went down and I was like, no, I am not stopping this train. Like, I want this train to get to the station as fast as possible. And if I turn back now, I can drag this thing out. So I went down to spring break and I told I'm like, look, and they're like, there's no way you're going to make it through this week.
Yeah.
But you know what? I tell you what, and one of my coolest strategies, I think, and this is kind of a guy thing, but, again, me and all the other dads, we enjoy a good beer or two. Yeah. And you know what? If they were drinking out of red cups, I was drinking water out of a red cup. Cool. If they were drinking beer out of bottles, I was drinking water out of a bottle. When we went on bar crawl night, I was the shepherd. I made sure we didn't lose any of the sheep. Yeah. And my buddy bought me a pint glass of water at every bar that we went to. And you know what? I made it through that week. I came back. I lost something crazy, like 3.5, 4 pounds.
Yeah.
And from then on, it was just like, where is that goal? Because nothing is stopping this train.
No.
Right?
Right. Absolutely.
And the thing that we come up with consistently when we're talking with people about their first time, right, is because that first time, everything is new. You are scared to death to deviate from that sheet, right, or to come in without your journal filled out fully, right?
Yeah,
you are eating the meals, you are eating the vegetables, you are taking the supplements, you're drinking that water, and darn it anyhow, we are getting those magic results.
Yep.
So what happens time 2, 3, or 4 when we're doing these resets and we can't get that weight loss like we did the first time?
What I know happens here, and a lot of other really, really incredible clinics where they do get that uncompromised experience. It includes adoptable education. I just say they know too much, right? At this point, they know too much, right?
Know too much.
We've done a good job, and now here are the challenges as presented, right? They want to go, well, how much of this could I have and still lose?
Right. Yeah.
Where's the gray area? Well, there's not one. And that's what I love about what I do. It's like there's no smoke and mirrors to this, right?
Right. No, that's the thing, right? How can I hack the system? What can I get away with? Oh, you know what? Yeah, if I eat carbs, that's gonna ruin my week and cause. But you know what? I know what keto is now. So if I have cheese, if I have salad dressing, if I have, all these things,
Right.
well, it looks like you're in ketosis, but you're not really losing, like you lost half a pound this week. What's up, Mr. Jones, who's,
Yeah.
225 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? Yeah. Hey, and where's your journal? Oh, come on, Doc. I don't need that. I can tell you what I had. I can tell you what I had.
Yeah. I said, we don't do diet recall here. Okay. Nice try. Or, it's like, like Dr. Tran says in his book, even when someone gets towards the end of their first phase 1 experience, the emergency's off. Maybe they're not in the same place that they were the first time they did that. And I do call out, I don't try to give the dog a bone, so to speak, but it's like maybe they're not coming back into this as unhealthy as they were previously.
Oh, and the majority of them are not, right? The majority of them have gotten some extra fluff. Right?
Yeah, they're not. So it's like,
yeah,
inherently the experience is going to be different. It's still going to be just as the efficacy is still there. We just have to follow that roadmap, like even though the magic is gone, this is what we want to do.
Yeah. And that's the thing, when you've only got 5 or 10 pounds to go and you're thinking to yourself, like, again, I know this works. It's worked for me in the past. And you know what? If maybe if I take a break this week, and that's a human tendency, right?
Right.
You're overconfident. You're overconfident, and you know too much.
You've been well educated,
and it's working against you. Not that I don't do that as well.
Well, and honestly, when I have a client coming back to us for a tune-up, I just share with them, here are some of my best practices when I'm looking to do a tune-up. Here are the things I need to get out of my house before I get started. It is the cheese for me. It's low-carb tortillas. It may be the raspberries. It's all those things that are, that can serve me well. But it's those things that I know I'm at risk of having if they're in my house, right? The home food environment. So you've got to kind of reset. So I like to share where my pitfalls have been in the past so that they can kind of start thinking along those lines. One thing I do want to say, though, is as far as your January waiting till March situation, I think that is very common, right?
Yep.
It's very common, and what I see in the patient population, and I love this part of the human spirit, right? 100% of my clients that I've ever had the pleasure of working with all are super optimistic about a point in the future where things are going to be easier, right? They're always kind of chasing this scenario of perfection to where this will work. And I quickly tell them, I see your spirit and I love it. I have the same spirit. The fact is, you didn't start yesterday. The next perfect time is now.
Nice.
Because everything you do for success in phase 1 is actually casting a future sustainability with your maintenance wellness.
Absolutely.
Life is never just going to stop so we can focus on us in a way that's uninterrupted.
Right. That's the thing. And unfortunately, the world's not going to stop.
It's
right?
not.
And in fact, it just seems like it's going faster and faster.
Right. Ideal protein is designed to fit into your life, not you to fit into its life. Right?
Live on the fly. Girl. I love that.
So I love the optimism.
Yeah, I love that. Again, you always start these things with a nice positive.
Yeah.
Start with the positive and then kind of roll in there with reality.
Right? At the end of the day, I do an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. And it is oftentimes the value is in bringing in and injecting the reality. We can still be excited about what we're doing and happy and totally optimistic for our future. But we would be remiss if we didn't go ahead and identify some of those things that may present challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're creating great segues for me, and I want to kind of move this a little bit forward too.
Yeah.
We've had a neat opportunity together in that. And I kind of forgot even that you're on my distribution list for my clinic for patients. Right? I've got some friends.
Destiny.
Yeah, and so, every email I send out blanketly to the clients, like the one I sent out today that evidently has all kinds of typos.
Oh,
Yeah, it's kind of funny. But yeah, and so we've had a book club in our clinic for years, and we find that that's one of those support group style kind of situations in our group. It doesn't matter if you're in phase 1, 2, or 3. We all need support. We all can approach life change in different areas beyond nutrition too. So we always pick a book that is inspirational, that seems like it's applicable, both nutritionally and in protocol, but also in life. Yeah. And we had kind of dropped that. It had been a while since we had done that. And I inspired Lynn. I said, look, I really feel like we need that shot in the arm. And, can we get the book club going? Yeah. And she wholeheartedly said yes. And I already had it in my head that the book that we were going to use is James Clear, Atomic Habits. And were you familiar with this book before the email came across?
I was.
I would say that most clinic owners and coaches, and whether they're personal development coaches, wellness coaches, or whatever, they are familiar with this book.
They are, and I got your email, and I just love, like, universally how things come at the right time, right. Unscripted, what comes, what you are seeking is also seeking you. Right?
Ooh, I love it. Another Wendyism.
So I got the email and I'm like, no, I can't do it. I've already made my commitments, right? It was the first part of January. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. But it was, from Ms. Lynn. And I'm like, okay, let me just see what she's up to. And then I saw that it was Atomic Habits. And I'm like, of course it is. Right? So 2 things about this that flipped me to a yes. Okay. Number 1, I have only ever in my life returned 1 book before I even read.
I love this story. Yes, I love this story.
Okay. And so actually, this book I bought not once and returned it, but twice and returned it. I cannot tell you exactly why I returned this book twice.
Yep.
After never ever returning 1 book in my life. It wasn't the time for me for whatever reason. It just was not the right time for me to read Atomic Habits. And so when I got into the email about the book club and it was Atomic Habits, I was like, okay, it's my time. And I felt like it really was a great parallel to being in my going smaller era, right? I thought, now this is the right time. And so I bought it for a 3rd time.
Yeah, 3rd time's a charm.
Apparently so, right? So I was super, super excited. And it has not disappointed.
Yeah. Again, when I've been revisiting it. So, I had bought it years ago. Actually, Dawn Halka, he sent it to me a couple of years ago as a gift while I was recovering from my first hip surgery. She's like, I know you love books, and this is one of my favorite books. And well, of course it is, because any truly successful people, this is probably on their shelf, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like, no, we need to revisit this. And so it was so exciting. We started getting responses. We actually had to put a limit on it because I started thinking about how many windows in our Zoom, we do this virtually, and how many windows we could actually really accommodate well and serve people. So we capped it at 15.
Yeah.
And just a great group of people. We still have some people that missed the first week who are coming in this week. And we've been raving about how awesome week 1 was. Yeah. And, again, when I saw your yes come across, I'm like, oh, dang, I forgot Wendy was on the list. And here we go. We just leveled up, right? We just leveled up. And so, I knew that Lynn and I we weren't just going to be sharing the load between the 2 of us as far as contributing. So you blew us away already in the first week. We were talking about, so many people that we coach, and maybe so many people, including ourselves, tend to be all or nothing people, right?
Yes.
I'm either
Yes.
all in or I am all out.
Yeah.
And how challenging is it to have that mindset in protocol?
Yeah.
It can be truly amazingly helpful the first time through, right? Oh, I am all in. And those are the people that, man, probably our biggest success stories first time around.
Yeah.
The challenge is when they're all out.
Yes, that's so true. I was able to, and in the book club, we were kind of talking about wellness, obviously, and atomic habits, and I ended up kind of going back to my own wellness journey. And do you want me to share my story?
Yeah.
Okay. It was, I know exactly when it was, September of 2022. And I was so down and out with my wellness. And by down and out, I mean, I just was having a hard time showing up for myself. It's incredible to have been at a place in 2022 in contrast to where I was in 2016. Yep. That's the beauty of us always having the opportunity to evolve and grow, right? And our wellness is not incubated from that, right? And so where I was at in my wellness journey, I was right up against a rock and a hard place. And I was having the hardest time showing up for myself. And I was sick and tired of it, but I still was struggling to change it, right? To go ahead and implement the change. Yep. And I thought, what's the smallest thing I can do for myself? All these indications, like me going smaller, like I should have read the writing on the wall in September 2022, but I do get it eventually. And then I never forget. But I woke up and what can I do? And I laid in bed, I pulled the covers back, and without even sitting up, I did some yoga stretches. Okay. And it sounds ridiculous, but number one, those stretches felt so good. And I got out of bed. And before I even made my way through the bedroom, into the restroom, I started kind of picking on myself for being proud of having just done those yoga stretches while laying down. I didn't even sit up to do it. I was instantly and we have this way about just kind of beating ourselves up, right? And luckily, I caught myself doing that. And I'm like, whoa, sister, slow your roll. This is 100% more than you've been able to do for yourself in quite some time. We need to celebrate that. And I thought, you know what? I would much rather be an all or something girl over an all or nothing girl, because there's so much opportunity in between all or nothing. And if what I could do as a catalyst to get back to where I really wanted to be with all my little wellness habits was yoga stretches in bed before I sat up. I don't even know if I took my eye mask off. Okay. Maybe I didn't. I don't know, but I was just ready and thirsty for change. And that point forward, it was really pivotal for me in being an all or something girl. Gave me permission to do what was possible. And so those yoga stretches in bed were so much more than just that 2 minutes of really great hip stretching, whatever. It led me to the second thing that day. Right. And then that second thing led me to the third thing, and kind of just having permission to go, okay, well, maybe you can't do all the things, but there's something you can do for yourself. Right. Yep. Let's not judge, how big that something is. Let's just say, is it all or something? Because you deserve so much more than nothing.
Wow. Again, just hearing it a second time, it's still just as impactful, because again, when you're an all or nothing person, how long does it take to get yourself to that point where you can go all in? Yeah. But understanding that when you're an all or something person, it just takes that first step. It takes that, and like you said, one leads to another, leads to another. And it worked perfectly into our conversation in that first chapter that we were talking about in the introduction to the book. The bottom line of the book is that it doesn't have to be these big momentous changes that you make. Atomic habits refers to something the size of an atom, something that's very small. Right. What is that small change that you can make that is going to have a huge impact if you continue to do it consistently.
Right.
Right.
There's that word. Yeah,
And
consistently.
so that's the thing, right? And that's why the book is so powerful. It's built on this premise that is so easily applicable.
Right. It does. I mean, it applies to everyone. It's like if I ask myself, maybe it's not all, but what is something that you are ready, willing, and able to do?
Yep.
Then do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because again, as we were talking about, a small 1 or 2 degree difference in the right direction over time makes an entirely huge impact.
Yes.
And vice versa, a small 1 or 2 degree veering off course going in the wrong direction is a totally different scenario, right? I love that he talks about, when a plane is flying from Los Angeles to New York City, if they are 1 to 2 degrees off in their trajectory when they leave, they could end up down in Hilton Head, South Carolina,
Right.
I mean, right.
It can be that over time. You're right. It can be that big of a difference, right? And you definitely know that difference.
The same in the good direction as well. And so that was our first week. We really had a great time with that. Yeah. I got to tell you too, really excited for the second week, although I'm not going to be there because I'm probably still going to be, it might be more fun because I'll be on drugs.
We'll record it.
But this next chapter is super exciting for me because he talks about the idea of habits and identity. Yeah. And, we tend to have habits that support our internal identity of ourselves. Right. And again, whether that's subconsciously or consciously.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Defined or undefined. Right. Yeah. Which I really think is, when I was talking with someone earlier this week, I kind of explained the 3 phases of the protocol. It's the physiological science in phase 1 heavily, in phase 2 heavily. We are looking at behaviors, but it really is the behavior of the science behind behaviors that in our 12 months, our first 12 months of maintenance in the lifestyle building 12 months, that we really are looking at behaviors because we're forced to, if we want to sustain the change,
Yeah. And to me too, like I love the concept of languaging, right? The concept of taking on an identity, versus just changing, even the habit of changing your languaging. I have people that say, "Oh, doc, I can't help it. I'm an emotional eater." Yeah. "Oh, doc, I'm a binge eater." And I say, well, here's the thing. Actually, no, you are not. Right. You are a person that engages in those behaviors. Right. But if you take on that identity role, we're never going to have a chance at changing that. So let's take that identity off and just say, hey, I'm a person that finds myself emotionally eating a lot. And how can we then go about changing that?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm gonna send in probably some notes this weekend, so that Lynn can talk about that with the group. But please, ladies and gentlemen out there, do yourself a favor. Grab a copy of Atomic Habits, whether you get it electronically, whether you get it physically, whether you get it audibly. What an amazing impact this book can have on your life and your ideal protein journey in phase 1, 2, and 3, because building habits is a great, even something as simple as, doc, I'm not getting my supplements in properly. Well, let's do something called habit stacking, which he talks about later on. Let's put our morning vitamins next to our toothbrush, so that every time I've got the teeth brushing habit ingrained, right? So all I'm going to do is stack a habit I want to accomplish on top of that. And every time I brush my teeth in the morning, I'm going to go ahead and take my morning supplements. Find something that you're attaching those other supplements, a habit that happens. All throughout your day, and before you know it, man, you're nailing those supplements every day.
Yeah, you're consistent, right?
And it's the consistency that's key.
Yep, absolutely. I love it. I'm so thankful for the invitation at the absolute right time. So I can't wait. I can't wait to get into the book more.
Yeah, absolutely. one last segment I want to achieve, because to me, this show, this starting of the year show, we really look at this as maybe what kind of tools, what kind of things can we give our Ideal Protein Nation out there to help them. And I'm just so corny. I always say thrive in 25, right?
Right.
We are not just going to survive. We are going to thrive in 2025,
yes.
right?
Yes, we will thrive. Absolutely.
So again, being the generous clinic owner and coach and colleague that you are, you sent out an email to a group of us, and with a tool that you had created for the holiday season to use with your clients. And you said, hey, I'd love your feedback on this. And by the way, please feel free, incorporate it into your clinic if you find any value in it. And I always laugh at find any value in it. What are you joking? Like, again, I don't come up with this stuff. I don't know why people even come into my practice. And so what you sent us is something that you referred to as the Mary method. And it was a neat way to kind of collectively take an approach to the holiday season.
Yeah.
Give us a little quick overview of what that thought process was.
So it's born of my own pitfalls, right? It's like you get out of phase one, and then life is happening. The holidays happen every year. In 2017, I had a really challenging holiday season with weight maintenance and like managing my behaviors and all that. And I thought, okay, well, that didn't work out. Clearly, I need to put something in place to help me navigate the holidays, because they're going to happen every year. And yeah. And so I, over the years, I've kind of created my own ability to manage the holidays through a couple of things. Number one, forecasting my November and December, because if not, we have this really interesting way of going into total food debauchery for 60 plus days. And you can do a lot of damage in 60 or more days just by going, man, I have so much going on. There's so many celebrations, depending on where you work, all this junk coming into the office or on campus, the school, whatever. And I thought, let me just really think, like, what are those days I actually have going on? And I started by just kind of pinpointing those days that are special, that we do have an occasion, not just another Tuesday, right? Where I would want to, potentially enjoy and indulge in my maintenance lifestyle for the holidays. And all those other days, keep myself accountable and stick to my plan. And so it's come all the way from me doing it privately myself to making a workbook that was like had zero adoption because it was too much, to tasking myself this last year with, what if you could create just a one-pager, Wendy? Right?
Right.
A one-pager, exactly. And here we go. This is what it ended up looking like. Your top 3 goals for the month, which, with the holiday version, it was actually for the holidays. You have gone ahead and made this a monthly.
So so with your permission and discussing it further, I said, God, Wendy, I love this format so much that I feel like we need to adopt this all year long. And for me, because I always have this, I always open up this week. The opening line was, well, tell me about February. What do we have in front of us for the next month? And I thought, what a better way to get it all organized in front of us than to make this the monthly method.
Yeah. And when it's like the simplest of concepts, right? And I thought, okay, that's genius. I should probably use it. I could use this every month. This would definitely be a tool that resonates with me, that works for me. And the way it's laid out, it's, I don't feel like I have to make time to do it, right?
Yeah.
It's nothing that I would like moving out and going, no, I don't have time. And at a glance, you can really see, if you need that reminder, you can see, when the month started, here's what my plan was, and how am I aligning to that?
Yep. Well, and just even taking those dates, right?
The dates are great. I love that.
The events that are going to happen, right? And again, I feel like a broken record when people come in every week. I'm like, well, what do you got going on this week? What do you got going on this week?
Right.
And it's kind of like, you know what? If I had this, if they had filled that out and I had it in my folder, right? If we had a zero and I had it in front of me, I could look at that and say, oh, well, so next week is that wedding you're going to, we really want to prepare for that.
Yeah.
And the thing I loved about this, during the holidays, if I go backwards a little bit, this wasn't just for our phase 1 people. Like
right.
we instituted this with phase 2 and 3 people, which was almost more valuable. We actually promoted, hey, come back in during the holiday season if you're in phase 3, and let us just help you navigate this year. We are not saying let's get in phase 1 to lose weight during the holidays. Let's just not really go overboard.
Let's start January where we don't want to be if we thought about it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And so, to have all of this visually just all on one page in front of you as a coach, it just makes it so much easier to pre-plan and guide instead of being reactive and say, oh gosh, this week's the wedding. Oh, wait, you're going away when? What?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously everybody's, more than likely got February 14th on their important dates, right? For whatever that means to them. Right. But it was actually a really great coaching moment for me in my own clinic to see how many people actually sent this back to me, right?
Yeah, right.
Like the return rate was very high. I haven't done the math on it, but I would say at least 80%, which is a phenomenal rate.
Oh, that is great. Yeah. Absolutely.
And we did talk about it and we would reference it, and they would say, I thought about my power statement or my word and I faced those challenges, right? Having a plan for the known challenges allows us kind of that extra energy expenditure to navigate the pop-ups, right?
Yeah.
We're not acting like everything's a pop-up. Like not everything's a surprise, people, right?
Right. let's put the plan things down and pop-ups will happen, but we'll be in a better position to handle that. Right.
Absolutely.
The other thing I loved about it too is, again, we've got our different segments of our client population. Some people really do enjoy writing a power statement. They really do enjoy and kind of get into the creativity of that. Right. Yeah. But the other thing, the thing that I enjoyed as well is what's dead center on that paper.
My word.
Right. Even if we just chose one word to guide us for that month. Or, again, that's like the thing of the year, the new year. What's your word for the year, right? You got a word. And I think that, this has been so powerful in so many ways. I think the most powerful word that we got, and I will also attribute this to one of my retired coaches from our clinic, Lori. My favorite word that she's coached people with that somebody gave back to me was surrender.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. We just talked about being 100% totally on protocol, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about that with people in the beginning. We're like, if you surrender yourself, don't put up a fight, don't try to hack, don't try to just surrender to the protocol. Your experience is unparalleled.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I like that word. That word, we haven't talked about that before. It just kind of makes it, it takes kind of the reluctancy out of it, even though like maybe there's not reluctancy in our mind, the reluctancy is in our being, right? In maybe all the what ifs, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. And so the word surrender is just actually pretty peaceful. It gives me permission to go just release it,
Isn't it? Again, because you know what? If you surrender, you also take the responsibility off your shoulders.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm almost like standing up straighter.
Right? No, if I surrender completely to the protocol and I don't get my results, well, it's not my fault. Right?
No, it's like I'm leaving my baggage over here.
Right.
And just moving into the month. I love that word. Tell Lori, yay.
Yeah. I had a guy, he was in here and he had sat in with Layla and they had a really neat conversation. And when I got to talk to them, because I hadn't seen him in a long time, he's like, oh man, I've got my word for the month. And I was like, well, what's that? He said, determination. Right. Like, and he was describing how that's different from just having willpower. Like he is determined to reach his goal. And it can be very empowering.
And it is. And I think there's something special about coming up with your own word. It's like I see a lot of things online, like, make this when you meditate, this is your mantra, or,
Yep.
say these things to yourself. And while they can be encouraging and enrich your thought process and your behaviors, it's not as personal if you didn't come up with it yourself, right? If it doesn't
Right.
have that kind of
Yep.
meaning, so I love his word too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. We talked about it too. Maybe you're not creative enough and maybe you don't want to create a power statement, but I kind of
Right.
feel like that box, we can be fun. We can be creative and make it personalized for ourselves and make that box
Yeah.
something else, which we
Yeah.
talked about. Hey, what are the top 3 habits that I'm trying to incorporate this month?
Right. Absolutely. It makes me want to, and we will, this is going to happen. Come up with a couple of like ad lib, those really fun little fill in the blank workbooks.
Yep.
You played ad libs, right? The
Right.
adjective.
Mad Lib.
Whatever.
Yep.
We could come up with a couple of templates that if people wanted to use, kind of like we had in the holiday Mary method,
Yep.
sometimes just kind of spurring their thoughts around it, if it's sad to say, but sometimes when I've tried to think of things like that for myself, I felt like, man, am I being too cheesy? Or, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like we just have a way of kind of like diluting what we want to do, and that can affect our passion, our trajectory,
Yep.
and everything. So I say, put on the to-do list, come up with a couple of ad libs templates for power statements.
Yeah.
As an example, just to get people kind of thinking about what it could be.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Again, if there's a prompt there, I love that. A prompt with a couple of fill in the blanks, that'll get you past the writer's block.
And it's still yours, right? You're still putting in, you're
100%.
adding meaning, right?
Yep.
You're creating the meaning there, which is, don't get me started on creating meaning, okay?
You know what? Let's save that for another episode.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, Wendy, thank you so much again for your time. Thank you for your passion, your energy, your creativity. This show has actually become more than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that our viewers and listeners are going to be able to get some really great tidbits to help them if they've been struggling in a reset, to inspire them to start their reset if they've been putting it off. If they're like that doggy in the window waiting for their new self to arrive, maybe we run out and meet our new self at some point.
Right. Absolutely. The podcast has been so special to me. And I know that it has touched and inspired and compelled people to move to action within the Ideal Protein community. And that, that is another thing that just creates meaning in life. And that's special.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Again, Ideal Protein Nation, stay tuned for more inspirational and motivational and educational episodes.
Yep.
But like I said, stay tuned for some things that I've been praying for quite a while that might be actually happening. I'm super excited about the Life Possible podcast for 2025. We're going to take this to heights that people haven't seen yet. And I couldn't be more excited for where we're going. So buckle up.
Buttercup.
All right, Wendy, thank you. Head on backstage. I'll be right back there with you. Let me just close this baby out.
All right.
Bye. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us and for again, anytime that Wendy gets on, you are going to get some quality content. You're going to get some nuggets, some tidbits that are going to be so impactful for your Ideal Protein journey, if not other aspects of your life. So thank you to Wendy again. Until next time, like I said, look out for some more content. I've got a couple that are already queued up to do with some really fantastic people who have had amazing experiences with Ideal Protein. And then who knows where the future is going to take us. So as always, keep striving for your life possible.